All right, so this is my wrap up for September of 2024. I almost said October. um, some things I didn't do great. Some things that maybe might not have been the best, but I think in the long run it will be all right. And some things I did do good on. Well, one thing I did not do good on was I did spend some money on some stuff that I should not have. So I had to transfer money over. Should not have done that. And I immediately regretted it as soon as I got the bill. I was like, oh, I should not have done this. So lesson learned. And another thing that I didn't pay too much close attention to is how many hours I was going to have and what paycheck that was going to come out of. I'm doing the same thing for October, not so much November, I don't think. November's 3 paychecks for me. But one of the reasons why I'm going to be taking so much PTO was because I have double the amount of PTO that I can transfer over at the end of the year. And each paycheck I get more and more hours. And the amount of hours I work, if it's more, then I get more PTO. So I don't want to lose out on those days. And my employer is very picky of how many people can be gone with PTO in one day. Yet one agent can be gone 8 hours, and another agent can be gone 4 hours. But here's the kicker. I work a special shift, so I make a little bit extra money working that. It's a differential. But it doesn't matter if someone is working my shift when they've asked for their time off, because most people in my department work a totally different shift than me. So then you can't take that time off. We're open 16 hours a day. So to me then, if they're not working my shift, I should be able to take the time off. Vice versa. The person who's requested the 8 hours to be taken off, then if someone else wants to take 8 hours, but it's a totally different shift, they should be able to take out that time, but that's not the case. And my employer also does not pay me my differential when I take PTO days. So, which to me, I think is ridiculous. And I think employers should be like, hey, at the end of the year, if you haven't used your PTO, you get paid that amount instead of just losing it all. But, but I do know that the chances also of my employer having mandatory overtime might be coming up. And they have kind of mentioned it, and usually there's enough of us doing PTO, they don't have to do it, but it's going to be our busiest time of the year. So I don't want to lose out on the PTO. I've done that the last couple of years, not paying attention, and I did want to take more different times throughout other parts of the year, but by the time I thought about it, went to put it in, and people had already put in requests, and they're very, very slow at once you put in a request for them actually approving it. I went almost 2 months before they will approve it. And that's another issue that I'm having. But so one good thing, so normally for every month, I need $2,450 to have a little bit extra. I only made $2,303. One good thing that did help me was I'm usually a paycheck to maybe a little bit more than a paycheck, depending on, the dates and stuff like that, as far as paying my 2 biggest credit cards. Now, this month, I'm still going to pay it on time, but one of them I only paid about half of the last paycheck that I had. So And I think one day I had to transfer over like $100 or $50 or something like that. But normally that did help. Another thing that helps me is, even though, yes, I did spend some money that I shouldn't have, I had quite a few of no spend days. Now, to me, no spend days are, okay, I've paid my bills, but I did not spend any extra money on anything that was not bills related, or that I didn't know that was coming up, that I hadn't like already planned for, like in my budget type thing. So I had, normally the last 2 months, I had 17 days. I had 24 days for the day of September, or not the day, the month of September. I had a total of 24 no spend days. So that did a really good with that. And even though I so far have paid half of the bill for October for my one credit card, I still in September paid $110 extra on debt. So, would I have loved to have paid more? Yes, obviously. Who wouldn't want to pay like maybe a couple of $100 more? Like, I would love that. But, my budget is not at that point where that can happen. So, as long as I'm able to pay the current, minimum amounts, and then hopefully pay extra, I feel like I'm doing good, As last year I was able to pay, what was that, $7,000 or something, or close to $7,000 off of debt, Now, I may or may not have done something that some people may like, you shouldn't have done this. So, I have a lot of trees that have grown around the house. And I had equipment, I thought it was going to work, and it doesn't work on most of them. Some of them does, others it doesn't. So, and I have a big huge tree that needs to be majorly trimmed. And I was talking to a couple of different people, and they said for theirs, now one person got theirs all cut and totally removed, and it was like $1,800. I have a feeling, because mine is so big, it might be about $1,200. A couple of years ago it was $800. So, that money I would have to take out of savings. It's not an option. I don't have that much, in checking. But I also have to get rid of these other trees. So I started thinking, and I should have done this earlier and thinking wise, but I really thought the stuff that I already had would help. Because it did a little bit last year, and some of the stuff it didn't. But I then did research and found, okay, this other equipment that I need to have. And I wasn't going to purchase. I was actually going to wait until yesterday. I go and purchase it. But here's what made me do this. And some people are like, well, this is just validating, whatever. And it may be. But I still think the purchase is a good purchase. So, and actually, one thing I was not even looking for. So I got the bigger item that I could cut trees. And then I also got an inverter. So the inverter I'm going to use during the winter and put it in my car, because you can plug in stuff, charge, stuff, and all this different stuff with it. And I did not purchase a battery with it, because the company that I have the other items with like the trimmer and stuff like that, it uses its batteries for it, and I already have quite a few of those. So I went online once I decided, the 2 items I was going to get. I looked, and well, if you purchase it online, there's like $50 off. Which, $50 off, that's nothing to sneeze on. That can be like a gas payment, or per monthly payment for accountant, or food, whatever, extra payment for the credit card or whatever. And granted, I mean, it's not like, oh, it's $1,000, nothing like that. But, and I have thought of, well, I could just transfer the money from savings into checking, and then once that goes through, and it's actually in the account, then I can go and I can purchase it. But I was already past the time frame. It would take longer for it to do. And I looked to see how many they had in stock. I was like 2. So I didn't want to wait, because what happened last time I had done that, I had went and I just decided to just go ahead and wait and then go to the store or whatever. Well, then they didn't have the items, and then it takes some months to get the items. So like, I'm not dealing with that. I've done that before. So and I was gonna put it on my credit card, but my credit card interest rates are really, really bad, like 28%, 30%, are horrible. So it's like, I don't want to do that. And they had a thing where you could take out a loan. So that's what I did. Now, this is one of the reasons why I did do that. So number one, I could get the items that I need. And not only that, but the loan is for like $430. I have 12 months to pay it off. It's like $41 and some cents a month that it will be. So for total, and the interest rate is only 24%, which is lower than my credit cards. And so the total interest, if I waited that 12 months, would be like I think $60 would be the extra in interest that I'd be paying. But the next month, when I get the first payment, I have $100 coming to me for something else that's not work related. So I'm going to put that on there. And then I'm hoping I will have another $100 that I could put, so I could pay half of it, or more than half of it. Well, I guess, no, a little bit less than half. So then that way, I'm pretty much paying it off. Or maybe, depending on other things, I might just transfer the money from savings and then just go ahead and pay it off. It depends on a couple of different things, because it depends on how much the quote is going to be for one thing, and then I need get a quote for someone from someone else for another thing. So those two things kind of depend if I'm going to completely pay it off next month or not. So I don't feel too bad for that, because then it's also an investment. I don't have to, at least for, most of the items of the trees, I do that myself. I don't have to pay like double the amount of the equipment. And I don't have to be like, hey, is that person here? Or hey, or, can I borrow the equipment? Will they have to come here? Well, they're not available. Or, oh yeah, I'm available. Then, they don't show up. I don't have to deal with that, And in the future, if I need equipment, I already have it. And especially with like storms and stuff like that lately, a lot of people sometimes try to help people, because a lot of people have at least one big huge tree. I have a lot of trees. I don't get why, like, one of the neighbors was like, oh, I wish you could just have trees popping up all over. I'm like, yeah, I know. and they're like, oh, he's like, oh, I wish we had more trees. I'm like, you can take some. Like, literally, you can take some. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, every time I see, like, a different spot, oh, there's a tree, is going like pull them. Once I notice it's their tree, and I try to do that, but, sometimes I don't notice it because I have some, like, bushes and stuff. And, so, yeah. And then all of a sudden, there's a tree that's taller than the bush. It's like, oh, there's another tree. So, I just think it would be good. The inverter thing will be good, because then I can use that a lot. Well, I mean, hopefully not a lot during the winter time. because I do have extra batteries, lithium batteries from the company. So then that way it's another way to be able to use those batteries. Because sometimes, I don't use them, all the time. Usually just, in the summer and stuff. But then that way, if something happens to your car, or, the roads are icy, or there's blizzard-like conditions, and there's a lot of roads that I travel on that's just open. So once you get that light snow and it's blowing, it's just horrible. And then that way, I can plug in, I can charge my phone and stuff like that, or charge other stuff, and I don't have to be using my vehicle's battery. Which reminds me, I need to go ahead and make a winter kit. What is it, like 2 years ago or whatever? There was a time that I was like, oh, it's October, I'll wait till November to make my winter kit, and I didn't. And then I went into the store or movie or whatever, and I came out, and I needed a scraper to scrape off my car. And I don't even remember what I used. I didn't have one. So and I didn't have my gloves. My hands were like freezing. So I need to do that. Think ahead. Some stuff that I could do. So I think those two purchases, should I maybe have waited? Okay, maybe. But I think in the long run, they'll be good items to have. And I didn't think it was too expensive. I was going to get the cheaper, one of the items to be a little bit cheaper for the trees. But then it was like the horsepower, or the amps, or whatever it's called, wasn't as much. And for it to get more than double that amount, it wasn't even $100 extra. So that's what I did. So I thought, well, I went middle of the road, where it's like I didn't get the least powerful item or the most powerful. I kind of went middle of the road, which for most things I think is pretty good, Some items you don't want to go totally cheap on, but other items, you don't want to get like the most expensive thing either. I hope everyone's doing good. On probably Thursday, I will be making a video of what my paycheck is for coming on Friday, since I'll know what it is. Oh, one more thing. So for the groceries and the gasoline, I did not spend anything last week on those. So I still have $39.26 in here, and I still have $30 in here, so I have $69. So on Thursday, I am going to go ahead and roll those over to the other categories. Tomorrow, I might go ahead and put some more gasoline in, but out of $150, I don't think that's bad. So far, I have only used $60 in total for the groceries and $20 for gasoline for the month of, well, I guess now it's October, but for the month of September. So I don't think that's bad at all. The paycheck on Friday will be the new amounts I'll get for groceries and gasoline. So I think that's a pretty good month that I did on that. And just in case anyone is wondering sometimes, hey, what all I make, and I have been putting out more videos of like what I make and stuff, to kind of just show people, what different items that you can make with your meals and stuff. But don't do like I did. You make pasta, like, oh, I could just put in another handful. I want some pasta. And then you forget how much it makes. I have a whole quart and a half of pasta for myself. So yeah, guess what I'm going to be eating the next several days. No doubt I will be sick of pasta, spaghetti, by the end of it. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to eat all of this in time before it goes bad. But some days in October. So I will show you October. So for October, I have half a day off tomorrow, and then I'm taking several days off next week, and then I did take Halloween off. So some of these dates are special dates for me and my late husband. So I might be spending a little bit of money on those days, but not too much. And then I already have some amounts for October that I have gotten for my bills. Not all of them though, so I'm still kind of waiting for that. But I'll at least be able to do my budget a little bit on Thursday, because I'll know what the ones for at least that part of the paycheck will be. I have those amounts for that. So hope everyone's doing okay, and take care, everyone.